Hey everyone, I'm Alicia and I'm from New Mexico, the Land of Enchantment. You know, the place with all those beautiful desert landscapes you see in movies? Yeah, well, it's even more stunning in person, trust me. New Mexico is hiding some seriously cool spots, places you won't find on your average tourist map. You know, the kind of places where you can actually experience the real New Mexico. Get ready to ditch the crowds and explore the hidden side of New Mexico. Buckle up, because we're about to dive headfirst into the Land of Enchantment. Our first stop takes us to a place that looks like it belongs on another planet, White Sands National Park. Imagine a vast, shimmering sea, except instead of water, it's pure white gypsum sand. Seriously, it's like stepping into a dream. Forget buckets and shovels, we're talking about sledding. It's the most fun you can have without getting frostbite, I promise you. To experience the magic of White Sands, stick around for sunset. The dunes transform into a canvas of vibrant colors, fiery oranges, deep reds, soft pinks, like Mother Nature's masterpiece. Pack a picnic, grab a blanket, and find a nice spot. Sip local wine and snack on green chili cheese fries. Nothing says romance like green chili breath. The stillness and serenity are unmatched. It's the peace you can't find in the city. Next time in New Mexico, head to White Sands. Send me a postcard, a really, really big postcard. Let's head north to Taos Pueblo, inhabited for over 1,000 years. This isn't your typical tourist town. It's a living community, home to the Taos people. People live in these multi-story adobe buildings. Imagine the stories those walls could tell. The Taos people are welcoming and happy to share their culture. Wander through, admire the architecture, and buy handmade crafts. Just remember to be respectful, folks. Experience Taos Pueblo at its most vibrant during their festivals. These celebrations are a riot of color, music, and dance, traditional dances, intricate costumes, and rhythmic drum beats. It's all about celebrating and having a good time. The real highlight is the food. Mouth-watering fry bread topped with honey or chili and cheese. And don't miss the traditional oven bread. Save room for blue corn pancakes. Your taste buds will thank you. All right, we're heading underground now, folks, to Carlsbad Caverns. It's not just a big hole in the ground, even though it is a really, really big hole in the ground. We're talking massive caverns filled with stalactites, stalagmites, all those rock formations with names that sound like rejected Pokemon. But here's the thing about Carlsbad that most tourists don't know. The bats, thousands of them. Every night, these little guys put on a show that makes Times Square on New Year's Eve look like an abandoned Chuck E. Cheese. Now, I'm not talking about a few bats fluttering around a porch light. I'm talking a swirling vortex of batitude that would make Dracula book a one-way flight to Vegas. Locals know to bring a lawn chair, a cooler full of snacks, and maybe a raincoat, depending on where the wind's blowing. And the best part? No cover charge. This nightly bat extravaganza is included with your park admission. Now, if you're feeling adventurous, Carlsbad Caverns also offers some pretty cool spelunking tours. Don't worry, you don't need to be a professional cave dweller to join in on the fun. They've got tours for all skill levels. From I can barely walk down a flight of stairs without tripping to, I once climbed Mount Everest using only a spork and a dream. They provide all the gear, so you don't need to show up looking like you just raided Indiana Jones' basement. Just bring your sense of adventure and maybe a headlamp that's a little stronger than the one on your keychain. Trust me, exploring these caverns is an experience you won't forget. It's like walking through a natural history museum, except everything is actually old and you can't touch anything. And who knows, you might even spot a bat or two that overslept from the big show the night before. Just don't tell their mothers I sent you. Next up, we're taking you to a place that'll make you say, "Honey, why can't we live in a cliff?" Bandelier National Monument, ladies and gentlemen, where the views are breathtaking and the mortgages are non-existent. For now, at least. We're talking about ancient cliff dwellings built right into the volcanic rock. These weren't just some weekend getaway spots for ancient New Mexicans either. These were elaborate homes, kivas, and community spaces all carved into the side of a freaking cliff. These ancestral Pueblo people were way ahead of their time. They had multi-story buildings, irrigation systems, and they even had a system for delivering mail. Okay, I made that last part up, but you get the idea. These people were resourceful. And the best part is you can still walk through these ancient dwellings today. Just try not to bump your head on the low ceilings. Those ancient Puebloans were not very tall. Or maybe gravity was just stronger back then. Who knows? Science is weird. But Bandelier isn't just about ancient architecture. It's also a hiker's paradise. We're talking miles of trails winding through canyons, forests, and mesas. They've got trails for every fitness level, from I just ate a burrito the size of my head to I'm training for the New Mexico Marathon, which is totally a real thing, I swear. And the views from these trails, forget about it. You'll be posting selfies with scenery so stunning, people will think you're using one of those AI image generators, but nope, it's just Bandelier, baby. Oh, and keep an eye out for wildlife. Bandelier is home to all sorts of critters like deer, elk, and even the occasional bobcat. Don't worry, they're more scared of you than you are of them, probably. So pack your hiking boots, your water bottle, and maybe a selfie stick, because Bandelier National Monument is a must-see for any visitor to the Land of Enchantment. All right, folks, if you're tired of the crowds and the noise, this next hidden gem is for you. We're heading deep into the Gila National Forest to visit the Gila Cliff Dwellings National Monument. And when I say deep, I mean it. This place is so remote you might even lose cell service. But trust me, it's worth the trek. The Gila Cliff Dwellings are even more impressive than Bandelier, and that's saying something. These dwellings were built by the Mogollon people over 700 years ago, and they're tucked away in a series of natural caves high above the Gila River. Imagine this. You're a Mogollon person, just living your best life, building a home in a cave, no rent to pay, no noisy neighbors. It's like the ultimate off-the-grid living situation. And get this, they used ladders to reach their front doors. Talk about a home security system. No solicitors were getting past those ladders, I can tell you that much. Now, after a long day of exploring the cliff dwellings, you're going to want to relax. And luckily for you, the Gila National Forest is also home to some amazing hot springs. That's right, folks, natural hot tubs. Soak your weary muscles and wash away the stress of everyday life. It's the perfect way to end a day of adventure. Just try not to fall asleep in the hot springs. You might wake up looking like a prune. And the best part about the hot springs? They're free. That's right, free natural hot tubs. You can't beat that with a stick. So, there you have it, folks. The Gila Cliff Dwellings National Monument, a hidden gem with ancient history, stunning scenery, and free hot tubs. What more could you ask for? Chaco Canyon. It's not just a bunch of rocks, folks. These ancient ruins were once a thriving hub for the Chacoan people, who were apparently way ahead of their time. I'm talking about astronomy, people. These folks were mapping the stars way before telescopes were a thing. They probably used those star charts to figure out when to plant their corn, or maybe even when to get a haircut. Now, if you really want to experience Chaco Canyon like a local, you gotta check out one of their stargazing events. They've got these high-powered telescopes, and trust me, you haven't seen stars until you've seen them from Chaco Canyon. It's so clear out there, you could probably see Matt Damon trying to grow potatoes on Mars. Okay, maybe not, but you'll definitely see a shooting star or two. Make a wish, but be careful what you wish for. You might just run into a Chacoan ghost. Now, I gotta say something serious for a minute. When you're visiting Chaco Canyon, remember, it's a sacred site. Treat it with respect, you know? Don't go carving your initials into the rocks or trying to climb on the ancient structures. You're not Indiana Jones, okay? You're more like a tourist. And speaking of tourists, you know what they love? Gift shops. Chaco Canyon has a great one where you can buy all sorts of souvenirs. Get yourself a t-shirt, a coffee mug, maybe even a little model of a Chacoan dwelling. Just don't ask me how you're going to fit that in your carry-on. Santa Fe Plaza. It's like the heart and soul of Santa Fe, and trust me, this heart has good taste. We're talking about a place with history, culture, and enough art galleries to make even the most jaded art critics say, okay, I've seen enough paintings of flowers for one day. But before you hit up the galleries, you gotta check out the Santa Fe Plaza Market. It's a local tradition, and you can find everything there. Handmade jewelry, pottery, paintings, even those little dream catcher things that are supposed to keep away bad dreams. Although, let's be honest, the only thing keeping me up at night is wondering if they'll ever make a sequel to Over the Hedge. That was a cinematic masterpiece. Anyway, back to the market. It's a great place to find unique souvenirs and support local artists. Plus, you can haggle. That's right, you can channel your inner negotiator and try to get a better price. Just don't be too aggressive. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jimmy, you promised us hidden gems, and now you're sending us to a crowded plaza? Don't worry, folks, I got you covered. Because tucked away in the side streets around the plaza are some of Santa Fe's best-kept secrets, the hidden art galleries. These aren't your stuffy, pretentious galleries either. We're talking about places where you can find everything from contemporary sculptures to traditional Native American art. And the best part is, you never know what you're going to discover. You might stumble upon the next Georgia O'Keeffe, or you might just find a painting of a cat wearing a sombrero. Either way, it's an adventure. Roswell, New Mexico. What comes to mind? Aliens, right? UFOs? That one episode of The X-Files that still creeps me out? Well, you're not wrong. Roswell is known for its connection to all things extraterrestrial, and they've fully embraced it. I mean, they've got a whole festival dedicated to UFOs. It's called the UFO Festival because why overthink it, right? They've got parades, conferences, even alien costume contests. I'm not sure how they judge those, by the way. Do they have a panel of actual aliens hiding out in Area 51, watching a live feed and rating the costumes? 3 tentacles for originality, 2 antennae for execution. It's something to think about. But Roswell isn't just about little green men in spaceships. Beyond the UFO hype, Roswell has some surprisingly cool museums. And no, I'm not talking about the International UFO Museum and Research Center, although that's definitely worth a visit. I'm talking about the quirky, offbeat museums that you won't find anywhere else. Like the Anderson Museum of Contemporary Art, which features a rotating collection of, you guessed it, contemporary art. Or the General Douglas MacArthur Boyhood Home, where you can learn all about the life of the famous World War II general. Who knew, right? Roswell? It's not just for UFO enthusiasts anymore. It's for history buffs, art lovers, and anyone who appreciates a good conspiracy theory. And hey, if you happen to see a flying saucer while you're there, don't forget to wave hello. It could be me heading out for a quick alien burger. They're out of this world. All right, folks, buckle up because we're about to float into the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. Picture this, hundreds upon hundreds of hot air balloons all taking off at once. And these aren't your average balloons, folks. We're talking special shapes, crazy designs, everything from your standard wicker basket to giant flying cows. Trust me, you haven't lived until you've seen a giant inflatable cow soaring over the New Mexican desert. Now, the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta isn't just about watching balloons float around. It's an experience, a spectacle, a full-blown party. You got food, you got music, you got people dressed up in crazy costumes. Imagine this. It's nighttime, and suddenly, all these balloons light up like giant multicolored light bulbs. But the real highlight is the dawn patrol. Before the sun rises, these brave balloonists take to the skies. It's like a pre-dawn air show, with these majestic balloons silhouetted against the rising sun. The Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, a New Mexican tradition that's more fun than a barrel of monkeys. All right, bird brains, put down your binoculars and listen up, because we're headed to the Bosque del Apache National Wildlife Refuge, a haven for feathered friends. Even I gotta admit, the Bosque del Apache is pretty darn impressive. Thousands of birds, sandhill cranes, snow geese, ducks, you name it. The real magic happens at sunrise and sunset. All those birds take flight at once. Invest in a good pair of binoculars and a camera lens. You'll be snapping photos like a regular Audubon Society member. Now, you might be thinking, Jimmy, I like birds and all, but I'm not trying to spend my entire vacation watching sparrows. Well, fear not, my friend, because the Bosque del Apache has something for everyone. First off, there's the hiking. Now, I'm not talking about climbing any mountains here. These are nice, leisurely strolls along the Rio Grande, perfect for walking off that extra churro you had for breakfast. And speaking of churros, let's talk about the local cuisine. Now, I'm not saying you'll find any Michelin star restaurants in the middle of the Bosque del Apache, But the nearby town of Socorro has some hidden culinary gems. We're talking authentic New Mexican food, green chili stew, carne asada, and of course those delicious churros. But the real hidden gem of the Bosque del Apache, the peace and quiet. No city noise, no traffic jams, just the sound of the wind whispering through the trees and the distant calls of 1,000 birds. It's enough to make even a cynical talk show host like myself feel, well, almost relaxed. Well, folks, there you have it. 10 hidden gems in the Land of Enchantment, each one more magical than the last. From the soaring heights of the Balloon Fiesta to the peaceful serenity of the Bosque del Apache, New Mexico has something for everyone. So what are you waiting for? Book that trip, pack your bags, and get ready to experience the magic for yourself. And hey, after you've conquered all 10 of these hidden gems, give me a call. I hear they're handing out honorary New Mexican citizenship certificates, and I wouldn't mind adding another title to my resume. Until next time, folks, keep exploring, keep adventuring, and keep watching this channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more travel tips from yours truly. And remember, if you ever find yourself in a hot air balloon race with a giant inflatable cow, bet on the cow. You heard it here first.